Okay, so before we even start this video, let me just say Kai Soto has the goods. I'm predicting right now, not only is he going to be in the NBA within a few years, which I only say because he's not even old enough to be drafted, but I also think he's going to be putting up some serious numbers too.
Okay, pause. We made that video just over 1 year ago, and we think it's time for an update because there has been some interesting developments since then. What's up guys, it's Andre, and if you didn't know by now, we are very much Kai Soto fans. And that's because we think he could shake things up in the NBA, and really, he's just a fascinating player in general. Plus, we've been talking about him for a few years now, and in my opinion, it's at this very time that we're gonna begin to see if the Kai Soto story is finally fading away, or that if it hasn't even started yet, which makes it a really interesting time for this video. Anyways, hit that like button if you haven't already, and let's get back into it. So before I get into the newest updates and developments, for those of you that aren't familiar with Kai Soto, you should check out the last few videos we made on that topic. But regardless, there are just a few important things to know about Kai right now. Number 1, he is a Filipino basketball player. He stands at a massive 7'2", with some reports saying 7'3", and he's had a very accomplished amateur career with many different accomplishments and accolades. And, most notably, he's widely considered to be one of the first native-born Filipinos that not only has NBA potential, but he also has the potential to contribute in the NBA, which we also have good reason to believe. Now, to save time in this video, let's just assume you take my word for it that Kai Soto has had a very impressive career up until this point. The question then becomes, where does he go from here? Well, 1 year ago, Kai Soto was up against a few challenges. Many thought he was underweight and would have benefited from gaining 10 to 20 pounds. At the time, Kai Soto is roughly 230 pounds, which certainly isn't too undersized, and especially when you compare him to someone like Chet Holmgren, an expected top 3 draft pick who weighed in at just 195 pounds, also standing at 7+ feet. But the difference was, his movement quality when compared to other bigs like Chet was subpar. Then, there's his weight. His weight hasn't changed much since that last video, which you think would be a problem. However, the more agile and light-footed he has become, the less his weight was a problem to focus on, which brings us to the next big concern, his movement quality. Kai Soto is a big man, and even by big man standards in the NBA. But as we all know by now, the NBA has been moving away from the traditional big man mold in recent years and has been adopting a sort of 4 to 5 hybrid. Big men are no longer only expected to dominate in the paint and grab a few rebounds. More minutes on the court, playmaking, a deep shooting range, and finally being able to efficiently move, great movement quality. These are just a few of the things that are now standards for NBA bigs. But the good thing for Kai is that these have always been in his toolbox and have become even more predominant in the last year. So this also isn't much of a concern. And these were pretty much the only 2 major obstacles that he was going to have to overcome, which he pretty much has. His work ethic is great, his court awareness is great, his passing abilities are great, coachability check, confidence check, and the list goes on and on. All in all, Kai Soto has and continues to have a lot going for him, with relatively few red flags working against him. However, the 2 defining problems he faces at this moment in time are, does the NBA want or need a player type like Kai Soto? And is he ready to play in the NBA? So, does the NBA want or need a player like Kai Soto? In today's NBA, bigs need to be able to shoot, they need to be able to creatively playmake, as well as a host of other things, which are all relatively new concepts for the NBA big. But as we know by now, they are becoming exponentially more relevant as the NBA continues to evolve. In a list of the top 2022 centers to be drafted, Kai Soto is by far the biggest, but this matters much less than you would think. He will have to prove that he's much more than a decent big man who could grab a rebound or block a shot. And although, yes, things like having that size and weight, rebounding skills, and a big defensive presence are important, he has a lot of time to improve on these. What he needs to be good at right now are the things that he's always been good at, like passing, shooting, playmaking, and having a good basketball IQ. And it's this dynamic and skill set that puts his potential skill cap much higher. It separates him from the pack. And generally, it just gives him a much better risk-reward incentive for NBA teams thinking about taking a chance on him. And none of this is to say that Kai Soto is a finished player. that he's the NBA's dream center. That would be far from the truth, as there are in fact many things that he's going to need to improve on significantly. But as far as the skills and potential to risk ratio goes, there's not too much more you could ask for, and I think you'd be silly to write him off at this point. And the second question, is Kai Soto ready for the NBA? Kai Soto is only 19 years old, and at this moment, if he were in the NBA, he would be among the youngest in the league, which theoretically he could have been if just a few things went slightly differently. Kai Soto signed with the NBA G League team Ignite right as COVID began to take its grip on the world in early of 2020. Needless to say, this complicated things, and Kai's basketball career in the States didn't last long. You might remember the highlights of the Ignite scrimmage where he was upstaged by Jonathan Kuminga and Jalen Green. He had some nice dunks, but he looked a step behind. His own team would have to adjust their open court style of play just to incorporate him. So, at just 18 years old, in April of 2021, Kai signed with the 36ers in the Australian Basketball League, the NBL, which is a very respectable league as well. Some of you may recall LaMelo Ball played there just a year earlier, who of course now is an NBA All-Star at 20 years old. It's been here in the NBL where Kai has been able to really develop his skill set as a professional basketball player. He's had some great games and even came in for 12 points and 4 assists in only 21 minutes against the reigning champs, Melbourne United. So if the question was, can Kai Soto play on a high-tier professional level? It's been answered. But is he ready to play in the NBA? Which is obviously a very different question. Well, I think we're going to get that answer very, very soon. In the NBL, Kai was guaranteed 2 years to play, and with one season already behind him, he's going to be eligible for the 2022 NBA draft just as his time in Australia is set to expire. The draft will take place on June 23rd of 2022, and there are reports of many scouts who have their eyes on him. But just like with most rumors, only time will tell how true this is. The next couple months will be a very important time for Kai. And in my honest opinion, in many ways, June 23rd, 2022 can very much be a make or break day for Kai Soto. What do you guys think? Will Kai Soto be the first homegrown Filipino NBA player, or are the best of Kai Soto's years behind him? Let us know in the comments down below. Personally, I can only imagine how crazy it would be to see Kai with an NBA jersey on playing in the league. So really, I'm hoping that this becomes a reality in the coming days. But regardless of what happens, this story has been a long time in the making, which is why I have no choice but to make a part 4 as these things pan out. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. We're doing a special right now on our Phenom Builder basketball movements program. It's the same program we've been using for nearly a decade now, and it's what we've used to take average high school athletes to the D3, D2, D1, and even professional level. So click that first link down below, and we hope to see you over there. Thanks for watching. It's your favorite coach's favorite editor, Andre, and see you on the next one.